Hello, everybody. Welcome to Reinaldo's chess lesson again. So today we are going to be talking about another important stage of the game. Okay, will be middle game principles. In the first video, we talked about the opening principles. So in the middle game principles to follow, we are going to see two important concepts or idea after we connect the roots. Okay, those ideas will be basically chase the enemy bishop with the knight. This is a very important principle to follow because the minor pieces goes out of the board initially, after move the central pawn in the opening phase. So will be inevitable this confrontation between the minor pieces, and do good trades is very important for the next phase of the game, especially for the endgame incoming. Okay. Also, another important concept about the middle game will be activate the rook through the creation of open files. Okay, but we are going to be talking about that in a new video. Today, we are going to focus in the trade of the minor pieces. Okay, and how to chase the bishop with our knights. Okay, we are going to use more or less the same format. Okay, of the first video. We are going to see a brief explanation about how to do this in the opening phase or in the middle game. And later we are going to analyze and discuss together a model game played by me, 1 year ago against another user on Lichess platform. The opponent have more or less an equivalent strength, and also was a rapid game that can be considered, as a very instructional game. Okay, so let's start. Well, in the board, we are going to see a classical opening. Really, is one of the most popular openings recently. Okay, a lot of players are using this system. The name of the system is the London system, and I select this opening in order to explain how to chase the bishop with the knight. Okay, this opening works very well for this because we can see that in the second move, why develop the bishop, okay, out immediately. Typically, we would like to develop knights before bishops, okay? But in this opening, the strategy is very clear why it wants to continue with e3, finally having the bishop out of the pawn chain. This have an advantage, okay, that why will not have trouble with his direct square bishop in the long term. But in other side, the bishop there will be exposed. Exposed to what? Basically to potential attacks of the knights. Okay, and we are going to see this maneuver in the next move. Okay, so black play knight f6. Okay, and white continue with the development with e3. Okay, right now with this position, this idea is on mind for sure. Is premature because the queen is guarding that square, but the opening phase is going to continue, and black is going to keep on mind the possibility to try to exchange 3 points for 3.5. That is the value of the minor pieces when the position no is defined yet, because we cannot say that the center is open or blocked. Okay, so typically when the position kicks all the potential and the possibility to be open, as a generality, we are considered bishops better than knights. Okay, so c5. This move seems to be like the pawn is hanging, but really not. In case of white capture, black have an easy way to recover the pawn with check. And also the main idea of the pawn advance is enable a space for the queen to try to put a quickly pressure in the pawn on b2. That probably is the main downside about develop the bishop too fast. Okay, so in order to protect the pawn on b2, a lot of players like to play c3 in order to have the queen ready to come to b3 to create some opposition for the black queen. Not only attacking the queen, also protecting the pawn on b2. Okay, so black continue development, knight c6. In this case, the capture of the pawn, in case of the capture of the pawn, black can continue with e5, winning a tempo, attacking the bishop and recovering the pawn later. Okay, so knight c6, while continue with knight e2. And after e6, okay, here black is trying to complete the development of the king side. And also protecting the pawn on c5. The potential downside of the move is that the bishop is being blocked by this pawn chain, but eventually black can resolve the trouble with the last square bishop playing b6 and bishop b7. Okay, so e6, knight gf3, and here, with this developed move, white is blocking this diagonal. Okay, so with the diagonal block, the queen no is controlling the h5 square anymore, and this gives to black the possibility to start, with this plan that really typically this kind of move are more common in the middle game. Okay, but right now we can see this move in the opening phase as well to try to do a favorable exchange of the minor pieces. Okay, in this situation the knight maneuver is premature because in case of knight h5, white can play bishop g5, winning a tempo, okay, attacking the queen. And in case of bishop d7, in general lines, this exchange of the bishop is favorable for white because this bishop is important for black because it's in the opposite color of the central pawn. Okay, for that reason, the maneuver with the knight jumping to the edge of the board is premature at the moment. So, in order to prepare this maneuver, looking for the favorable exchange of minor pieces in good conditions, black can play bishop d7 because now, when the knight goes to the edge of the board, the g5 square will be very well controlled. Okay, so we can see how in the opening phase, black is trying to play active, doing a favorable trade. Okay, an example to see this maneuver complete, while continuing with bishop d3, preparing short castle, and after knight h5, finally, all the squares for the bishop are being controlled. Okay, and also the bishop cannot come to g6 as in the previous variant because it's controlled by the bishop on e7. Okay, white have only one defender. Okay, and black have here two attackers. So basically, with this maneuver, black managed to chase the bishop. Okay, and is ready to do this favorable trade. For that reason, we are going to see that in this situation, when the bishop comes to e7, and black is ready to do the maneuver, a typical move for white and a quite common move is h3. Okay, the idea of the move is enable the h2 square for the bishop and escape of the attack of the knight. For example, now if black continues with the typical maneuver, white can simply retreat the bishop, then to square away of the knight and controlling the knight joins. And after that, basically the knight will be there misplaced and also hanging. Okay, so this is one of the openings that works better to explain this concept. Okay, we are going to focus about this idea in the middle game, okay, as our orientation to create short-term plans. But we can see that this can happen in very early stage of the game, okay, like in the opening phase as well. Normally, the player who do this usually is white because having the right to make the first move, white have more chance to fight for the initiative in this way. But this is an example where black is really playing in a very ambitious way. Okay, so now as we have a general idea, okay, about how to do this in the opening phase or also in the middle game, we are going to explain this in detail, okay, with the analysis of the model game. Okay, so the model game select, okay, to explain this strategic idea was again an Italian game. Remember, the Italian opening is a very didactical opening because both players face for the control of the center in equal conditions, and the games used to be very balanced, leading to positions with a lot of strategy. Okay, so white open with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop c4. We have here the Italian game. Okay, in this game, I decided to play the two knights defense with knight f6. We have to remember that this variant allows the free cleaver attack, this quickly attack on f7, but my opponent decides to protect the pawn on e4 with this modest advance. This is also known as the Giuco Pianissimo variant in the Italian game. This means like a very slow game. The Giuco Piano used to be with c3 and d4, and the Giuco Pianissimo is with d3 and c3. Okay, so bishop c5, now c3, white plays the pawn to square away of the knight and prepare an eventual pawn advance to d4 in the future. Okay, so now d6. So with these two bishops out of the pawn chain, there is some ideas, potential ideas to try to chase the bishop with the knights. Okay, in this case, this idea really is possible at the moment for black, because white don't have the knight on c3 to jump to the edge of the board to try to do the favorable exchange, okay? But in other hand, black is ready to do that, okay, at any moment. Directly will be premature, before the pawn advance to d6, because then this knight at the moment is busy in defensive labors, okay? So the knight cannot jump to the edge of the board to do the favorable exchange because the pawn will be hanging. So when black defend the pawn, okay, now the knight is liberated from defensive labors and can try to go to the edge of the board. So white castle, and again, this plan is premature, because if black do this, attacking the bishop, white have this maneuver. Check. Black can cover the check, and finally the bishop escaped of the attack of the knight. Okay. For that reason, here, black play a very strange move, but very logical at the same time, and the move is a6. Okay? This move, in a first glance, seems to be like a waste of time, because instead of develop the minor pieces or castle that are the opening principles that we suggest to follow in the first video, black is moving a pawn. No, it's a central pawn. It's a lateral pawn that really, objectively speaking, no, is helping black in development. But in other hand, really the move is taking care of the bishop, enabling a regrouping square, and also controlling b5, preparing the maneuver. Okay, so white plays knight bd2, and here, one more time, the knight jump is still premature, because white can do the check here on e4, attacking the king, okay, and also attacking the knight. In this position, yeah, in case of, let's say, in case of b5, blocking the check, the knight will be hanging, okay? So, but, okay, so black played bishop a7, h3, and now short castle. Okay, short castle is a necessary move to prevent the check of the queen on a4. So now, this is a critical moment of the game, okay, because once black reaches this position, means that he's ready to do the maneuver with the knight, doing the favorable trade, okay? So here the threat is knight a5, exchanging the knight for the bishop. So a very important move for white is bishop b3, to be able to regroup the sniper in case of the attack of the knight. Okay, so in my game, my opponent played rook e1. This is a small inaccuracy, okay? We cannot consider this move really as a mistake, but now this really represents a small concession for black, okay? Because now black can perform the maneuver. White don't have the check on b5, white don't have the check on a4, white don't have the fork with b4 because the bishop no is on c5 anymore. So the maneuver with the knight is perfect, and white and black is winning the bishop pair here. So bishop b3, knight takes, and now pawn takes. Okay? So black wins the bishop pair. Really, we cannot consider those double pawns as a real damage in white pawn structure, because despite the pawns are double, this conformation is still representing a unique island of pawns. Okay. So really, usually when we create double pawns, we separate the grid of pawns in two or more than one structure, okay? And also the pawn that was in the edge of the board controlling only one square, after the recapture now is controlling two squares. And the rook is also, occupying now a semi-open file. So, white is winning some concessions as well, but in the long term, the bishop pair can be more powerful than the control of the semi-open file, because the control of the semi-open file at the moment no is putting pressure in any backward pawn, because we cannot consider this as a backward pawn because it's still defended by another pawn from behind. So really, why don't have, let's say, an effective pressure? So, okay, here we have the first stage of the game complete. Black wins the bishop pair. But now, what to do with the bishop pair? When we have bishop versus knight, what we have to do is open the position or open the center, because in that way, reaching rupture points in the center of the board and exchanging some pawns, new diagonals will be available for the bishops. Okay, so from this moment of the game, I was thinking in perform the pawn advance on d5 as an idea. Okay, for sure, at the moment that no is possible because the e5 pawn will be under big pressure after the exchange. So I say, okay, let's start to reinforce the central pawn to prepare the rook to run d5 at some moment. My opponent continued with the standard maneuver of the Italian game, so with knight f1, basically liberating the diagonal for the dark square bishop and probably looking for these outputs. We have to remember that the central pawns are there to offer the possibility to create outputs, and those outputs must be taken by the knights, okay? Because the knight, by nature, is the pieces created for that. The bishops are snipers or archers that long reach pieces should be from behind, taking care of the pieces from behind. So, well, knight f1. Again, here I play a6. This move seems to be a bit unnecessary, but again, the main motivation of this move really was prophylactic thinking, because as I wanted to push the pawn to d5, I need this square very well controlled. So a potential pin here can be very annoying in order to fight against a rook on d5. Okay, so here we have bishop e3, and here, okay, in this situation, as I have bishop versus knight, all the rest of the pieces are exactly the same. So typically, in order to increase the difference between the two different minor pieces, a very good idea is start to simplify pieces of equal value. And here I have the opportunity to do that. Bishop takes, okay, knight takes, white centralize the knight and is ready to take some outputs, but at the moment the outputs are well controlled by the black pieces. And here, the next move is very important, and probably this would be like an exaggeration, but maybe not the winning move of the game, but really the winning strategy, okay, playing b6. Here we are following two basic concepts, okay, placing the pawns in the opposite color of the bishop, and also enabling the b7 square for the bishop to have the bishop in the fianchetto location. When we have bishop versus knight, usually the best location for the bishop is in the fianchetto structure, because for two main reasons. The bishop there can control more central squares, and controlling more squares in the center of the board, that means that the bishop will be ready for an open center. Okay, if we compare the b7 location with the location on e6 is only controlling one central square. Okay, so don't have the same power, if the center is open. Okay, and also another advantage about the fianchetto location is that we can, with this structure, we can prevent exactly the same that we did in the past. Why would like to chase our bishop with his knight? But when the bishop lands on b7, with this structure, basically, why won't be able to do something like to chase the bishop? Okay, here, or let's say from c5 as well. Okay, this is one of the advantages of the fianchetto location. Okay, so after b6, yeah, here, okay, potential downside. Now this pawn becomes in a kind of backward pawn because no is being supported by a pawn from behind, but the pressure at the moment no is effective because the pawn is a no defender, and in some case the pawn can advance to a5. Okay, and at the moment the bishop from b7 can do attacking and defensive labors at the same time. Okay, so queen c2. Finally, white connect the rook, so we can say that the opening phase is complete. Bishop b7, doing the same, connecting the major pieces and ready to do the central rook. So 81, and finally is the moment to open the center. So right now, what Black created was a short-term plan. It's very difficult to say how to continue later because all will depend about what white is going to do, okay? But basically what we are doing is creating short-term plans, okay? Wins the bishop pair, place the bishop in the fianchetto location, and open the center to have more central control. Okay, so finally d5, and after all those trades, now Black have a lot of options to recapture. Don't forget that usually the best way to recapture is starting with the less value pieces. So we have 3.5, 9 points. Let's start with the 9. Takes, and now white push the pawn to d. This is a try to open the d file because as white rooks are centralized, okay, the queen on the d file may have some troubles, okay? So here, forced lines to don't lose the initiative and also continue with the simplification, exchanging pieces of equal value. Knight takes on e3, white recapture with the rook, pawn takes. So remember, when you have the bishop, remove the central pawns to enable new diagonals for the bishop. Rook takes on e8. Okay, this variant is very forced. Queen takes, knight takes on d4, and now rook d8. So finally, black major pieces are centralized, and we still have this little imbalance in the position. Bishop versus the knight. Okay, the knight on d4 looks quite strong, but really that output in this moment no is too stable because black have the possibility to remove the output with the pawn advance to c5, eventually in case will be necessary. Okay, so here my opponent play, a kind of waiting move. Maybe he wants to simplify. He was thinking probably in queen e2 directly to try to exchange queens and simplify to try to kind of equalize the game. But this move will be a blunder because after the exchange and the recapture with the knight, the rook will be hanging on d1. Okay, so king f1 was a try to look for the simplification and be ready to recapture with the king because without the queens on the board, that means that we are going to be in the endgame. Okay, and in the endgame, the king must be centralized. Okay, so now I play bishop e4. Okay, attacking the queen, and here my opponent play queen e2. In this moment of the game, I miss important tactics. Okay, that this tactic is possible due to the power of the bishop, and we are going to see how the advantage of the minor exchange is going to be evident right now because this was a long-term advantage. Remember, we won the bishop against the knight, in the opening phase. So we are almost in the end. So after queen e2, black have this tactical trick. Bishop takes on g2, king takes, and queen takes. Why cannot recapture? Because the rook will be hanging on d1. I miss these tactics in the game, and I decide to remove the outputs here. So this was a mistake from my part. And here the unique move to kick the balance is knight f3. But my opponent make a blunder, allowing me develop the tactical idea that I didn't see before. After knight c2, finally, I have, I can demonstrate the power of the bishop. Also, about this retreat, remember, try to avoid half your knight to square away of the enemy pawns, because in that way the knight will be under control, okay? So when we see that situation, no, it's casualty that black have a tactical resource available here to finish the game. Bishop takes, okay? So king e1, remember the bishop cannot be captured because the queen is hanging. And after king e1, black have a very nice tactical tool available here. It takes. So in any case, black have extra material, and after the trade of the rook, this pawn is going to fall. But here we have a deflection tactical tool. Bishop f3 check. White is forced to capture the bishop, and now the rook will be hanging, and the rest of the game really is matter of technique. Okay, so about this game, we can conclude. Okay, when we do a favorable trade in the opening phase, but mostly on the middle game, okay, we have to be very patient, okay, because the bishop pair or bishop versus die is a long-term advantage, okay? And also, don't forget, when you have this long-term advantage, try to place your bishop in the fianchetto location, because in that way you will have more central control, and also you will be ready for an open center, okay? Remember that the fianchetto structure also prevents that your bishop can be chased by the enemy knights, okay? So we can see that we are in move 27. We won this advantage in the opening phase. So all is about be patient, because a chess game is a game of mental resistance. It's a long marathon. So we have to be very patient to be able to deal, with this kind of advantage, okay? So this is all, okay, about this presentation of how to trade the minor pieces. And in our next video, we are going to be talking about the use of the open files, how to create open files, okay? Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Remember, if you like those videos, subscribe, okay, like and share with your friends, okay? Hope to see you soon. Bye.